lives.
Was it a scam?
It was a scam.
Or was it just a poorly executed event with the best intentions?
It was a scam.
Welcome to a new episode of the You're Not Wrong podcast, a podcast where a Gen X and a millennial talk about culture back then, culture right now, and mostly agree to disagree. My name's Elizabeth. I'm the millennial.
I'm Nicole, and I'm a Gen Xer.
And you and I are both readers.
Yeah, I love to read.
You love to. Are you on BookTok?
No, I'm barely on TikTok, and I think you know that.
What I want to talk about today, which is the A Million Lives Book Festival. Have you heard of this?
You know I haven't.
I don't. I
haven't. How would I know about this?
Because you're a human being who lives.
No, I don't know. I don't know about a million human beings.
A Million Lives.
Okay, what is this?
So basically, if you are familiar with BookTok.
Yeah, I do know about that.
Which is the TikTok universe, obsessed with books.
Okay.
Right.
So you can get a lot of good book recommendations on TikTok?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay.
That's
a no.
I would argue that most of the BookTok recommendations I get that's a whole nother episode that we can talk about whether or not people on BookTok is made up of readers.
Oh, it's not necessarily.
Or just people who want to be in on the trend.
Gotcha.
Because I have seen a collection of BookTokers discuss how they will not read paragraphs.
What? What are they reading?
So you know how, let me explain a book to you.
Okay.
So you know how a book will have dialogue.
Yeah.
And then there will be a paragraph about exposition,
context.
Whatever's going on. They will skip that.
They just want to read the dialogue.
Yeah, they just want to go to and then whatever smut scene is happening, and then dialogue. They don't care about
setting the scene,
what the room looks like. They don't care.
Where she walked.
And
you know, I'm taking a writing class right now, and the
that's right.
the last class was all about setting the scene. Yeah. And you're saying there's people who just don't even care about that. Well, I can kind of understand that, actually.
I kind of get it too, but I'm not gonna not read a paragraph. That's where
you may miss something
too long.
You're gonna miss something
or too far. I might think to I'm reading a book right now that I'm not super jazzed about, and I'm not gonna lie. Every now and then there's a page or two where I'm
skip. Yeah, I've done that. I do that.
And it happens. But to say that I'm going to be in a book and just see dialogue and then see multiple paragraphs and go, nope.
Yeah.
On principle of it being more words.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that's what they were complaining about.
Okay.
So I think that's the level
of readers on TikTok.
That's one level. I think there are, I don't want to disparage all the BookTokers. I'm not really on TikTok at all. I don't want to disparage all of them. I do think that there are some people who really are readers and have good recommendations. There's also a very strong community of people looking for recommendations in the romantasy genre, which you are familiar with.
Yeah, I think romantic novels.
Romantasy.
What the fuck?
See, why do you say yes? You could just say no. That's what this show's for.
Because I'm what? I mean, obviously it's about romance, but what is romantasy?
Romantasy is the Venn diagram of a romance book and a fantasy book.
Oh.
So if you were to have, so there's fantasy.
Why can't they just say romantic fantasy?
Because what fun is that when you can say romantasy?
Okay, and it's also not new. There's been romantic fantasy books forever.
And this is my thing is I remember someone so I like romance, I like fantasy, and I also like what they're calling romantasy.
Okay.
Right? I like all of these genres on their own. I think what specifically makes romantasy different than romance and fantasy is that it the setting is fantasy, the main story is romance.
Yeah, that's
I know, yeah.
All books, honestly.
I will never forget someone telling me, and you're familiar with Bridgerton. I know you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I know.
And I remember someone being like, the really cool thing about Bridgerton is it's all the same family. And I like as if this was like a new concept.
Interesting.
And I was like, yeah, but in a lot of romance, and I'm talking kind of like Bodice Ripper, Fabio types.
Yeah,
like
I instantly thought about Fabio.
Right.
When you said romantic fantasy, I'm like, that's all that was romantic fantasy.
Well, not fantasy and like he's a firefighter of your dreams.
No, fantasy as in it's in a weird time, like in a enchanted world.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what all that stuff is about.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, sometimes people think fantasy like No, I have a fantasy of this man. No. We are specifically talking about like there's fantasy,
magic. Right? There's dragons potentially. Yeah.
Sword fighting is happening, but not in period. But yeah, someone said like, oh yeah, Bridgerton because the family, it's all like the same family, and I was like, that's how a lot of romance will set up like a friend group or like a brother situation, and then and it's fun because so romance. Now I'm getting too deep.
I don't read romance, so I don't really know.
I do read romance and romance. Now, I'm caveating this because a lot of people think that romance means smut. They are not one and the same. They are two different things.
But they do always have a cheesy sex scene.
No, they don't have to.
A lot of them.
They don't have to.
You're telling me there's romance novels that don't have cheesy sex scenes?
No. What I'm saying is, are there some that don't? Yes.
Oh, really?
Are there some that do? Yes. Have I read both?
The majority do, though.
A majority, especially these days. I think people want the spiciness.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in romance, there's like certain rules. And so you have to, one of the main rules, and this might be its own topic at one point, is that you have to have a happily ever after.
Really?
Yes.
You can't have like a sad ending.
It is not considered a romance. I mean,
really?
I think there's probably people who would debate me, and if you're one of those people, like, feel free to put it in the comments if you're like that bookish and you want to talk about it.
Interesting.
But I think there's people who would argue like maybe you could get away with it. Depends on like what kind of romance you're writing. But I would argue that if it is a true romance, it cannot have a non-happy ending.
Wow. So there's that's new to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then people feel very strongly about like certain almost unforgivable sins in relationships. Like I read a series once where one of the characters like cheated on his happily ever after.
And that's like, you cannot do that.
That is very hard to come back from.
Really?
Because as the reader, you want to root for both of them.
Wow.
And now I might not be rooting for you.
So like you cannot have any real lifeness in your romance novels.
No, it's more like
it's got to be a true escape.
Like I said, it can't be unforgivable.
Okay.
So it can be.
It can't be like he slapped her.
No, that's probably not gonna work. Or it could be that the character has an addiction.
Okay.
And they're fighting that addiction,
but they can still have a happily ever after, even after somebody was an addict.
They have to have a happily ever after, if they're the OTP.
Okay, what's that mean?
The one true pairing. Like if they're the people that are supposed to be together.
Then this is all a freaking cope, man. All these people are reading these books and they cannot possibly have a bad outcome because this is all that they have.
I would argue that if it's the same with mystery. The mystery genre has certain rules that you have to abide by.
You have to solve it.
One of my favorite rules though about mystery novels is that you cannot have like you cannot have passages that are undiscoverable.
What's that mean?
So like if it's like a murder plot in a mansion.
Yeah.
And the plot or the murder is contingent on the bad guy could get through a set of rooms by like a secret passage. Uh-huh. That's not allowed unless you can find the secret, unless the detective finds. And I think that's fair.
That's fair, yeah.
Because then you're basically just doing magic. Yeah. Right. So I think that these rules are there for a reason because, like with mystery, if the person reading it can't solve the mystery, then it's not fun.
A good one. Right.
And it's not a good mystery.
It's frustrating.
Right. And I think that's the same with romance. Now, a drama...
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. They don't have to end up together. But don't sell yourself as a romance if they don't end up together, because then it's not a romance.
What's that movie that who was in that? Was it Vince Vaughn? And they like didn't end up together. It was a romance, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I forget what it's called.
I would argue it's probably not. Anyway, there's like certain rules to this stuff, and people are like just discovering that romance exists, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's really crazy because literally, like, that's all that ladies used to read, like, back in the day. And they were, like, the cheapest paperback.
Yes.
They all had Fabian on a horse on the cover.
Right.
That was what I thought was, like, cliche what women read, like, in the 80s.
But not
was
just
romance.
women. Not just
women.
Maybe the romance was mostly women.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people forget, because I was at this dinner with people who, like, read the Financial Times and think they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying, what did people, this must have been what people did back in the day. Like, they just read the Financial Times and they didn't talk about Netflix. And I was like,
no, they talked about stuff. They talked about celebrities and magazine articles.
Where do you think we get the word Pulp Fiction from? It's actual, these tiny little, like, 2-cent books that they would sell.
Yeah.
That were episodic and that you would... So we did have... we had TV.
We had Netflix series in books.
Right? So let's not...
Yeah.
This thing that... All of this has been around... Actually, there were a lot of rules at one point over what you could write because some of the... in like, I believe it was like the 1800s... This is not part of this.
What is this about?
We're just jamming right now. This is not about this. But I believe it was like in the 1800s, like these romance and... these Pulp Fiction books were getting so out of hand that they were like, guys, you gotta stop.
Really?
You can't have me writing this stuff.
People were like not showing up
People
at the
unhinged. So
sawmill because they were reading those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So or they're showing up to the sawmill with like just fantasies, and they're like, Gwyneth, you
saw
gotta
the mill.
Stop. Yeah. So basically, all this to say, obviously, books are something that people care a lot about.
Yeah.
And we all have a lot of opinions if you're a reader.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel very strongly for it, right? Like, would you say you're, like we said, a reader, writer? Like, do you have, like, a bookish community?
Not really.
Really?
No, I don't. No.
Do you feel like you want one?
Not really. I mean,
sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, not really. Like, I go in and out with books. Like, I'm just now going back to reading fiction. I really wasn't reading fiction. I was reading, like, nonfiction, self-help, like, how-to type books, autobiographies for a really long time. So I'm just now re-engaging with fiction. And I think, like, nonfiction doesn't lend itself that much to a bookish community. Like, do you want to sit around and talk about the autobiography of Hillary Clinton?
Oh, well, that's probably
want to
just
get
a
together.
bad one.
I mean, I don't know that nonfiction lends itself to that per se.
I'm in a book club right now reading a nonfiction memoir from one of the women who worked at Facebook.
Oh, okay.
That's really interesting. And I'm sure
what
we're gonna
book are you reading?
It's Careless People.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that, yeah, because I think maybe that one lends itself more to a group.
Yeah, the Hillary Clinton autobiography probably really...
But I just use that as an example. Like, I just feel like self-help and autobiographies, you don't really get together and talk about them, but maybe we should.
Well, I think a lot of people are looking for book communities, right? And so when an event comes up, just appreciate this segue because I didn't know how we were going to get out of that one. When an event comes up that allows people to connect and experience something with a lot of people, they want to do it, right? Like, think about a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Right? Or
for sure.
MegaCon, or these like conventions where people with similar interests can come together and meet people.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've only met people online or something.
Right.
So, let me tell you about this event that happened called A Million Lives.
Okay.
I'm going to read to you now the description.
Are you saying lives or lies?
A Million Lives.
Okay.
Although, spoiler, people would probably feel like there was a million lies told about this. So,
I can only imagine.
Discover a world of books, meet your favorite authors, and grow your bookish community. Whether you're a bookworm, a book dragon, or simply looking for a fun event, this festival is perfect for everyone. Explore a vendor hall with authors from a wide range of genres, from fantasy and romance to mystery and dark romance. Engage in with other book lovers, attend insightful panels, and participate in our content creation room. Don't miss out on this incredible gathering of literary minds. Mark your calendar and join us at the A Million Lives Book Festival in Baltimore. This will take place at the Baltimore Convention Center on Friday, May 2nd and 3rd, 2025.
What? What date?
Friday, May 02 ND. I'm gonna actually show you.
I feel like
this.
you started talking in Gaelic or something. What?
Okay, I'm gonna show you this. Because you can't see. I might put this up on screen. I don't know yet. You're gonna see this right now. But as someone who is a reader and like sometimes writer, like my job does involve me writing. Grammar, right? Like
that's important, especially when you're advertising a
book event.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just gonna. This is what I was saying. Fry.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you saying? It sounds like you were reading hieroglyphics.
It should be Friday, May 2nd.
Yeah.
And Saturday, May 3rd.
What?
Or May 2nd through 3rd.
Yeah, May 2nd through 3rd, 2025.
And engage in with other book lovers. Engage in what?
Did AI write that?
I don't know.
Did a alien write that?
I'm about to find. We're going to find out soon. So, are you interested so far?
Kinda. Only because I'm like, what is this?
Would you
sounds
go?
So cryptic. No, I would not. I would think it was like a human smuggling thing.
Well, in case you did want to go, which you can't because it's over now. Obviously, it's not May. It's May 2nd. May 2 and 3 have passed.
Fry May 2nd.
Yeah. You had a few different options for tickets. Okay. So for $50, this was the page turner. This ticket includes access to our vendor hall, cosplay meetups, and content creation room only on May 3rd. Okay, so for $50, you could go for Saturday and see pretty much everything.
Okay, but what?
Cloud Walker.
What is that for?
The $150 ticket.
What do you get with that?
This includes access to our vendor hall, cosplay meetups, panels, event swag bag, and content creation room on May 2nd and
What
3rd.
is the what are you creating?
Content.
Of what?
Was that not
what?
clear?
Of the book event? Like, I'm here at the book event.
And you can collaborate. Like, I don't know. I was not there, nor do I read minds. But when I read this, my thought is, you've got stuff set up for me to interact with.
Books?
For my content.
Okay.
Like, maybe
like
an Instagram wall or something.
bullshit. Okay. Some bookshelves.
Right. And then I can be like, Nicole, it was so nice meeting you. You have a following. I have a following. Let's go into the content creation room.
And talk to each other and do
create
dance.
content. Yeah, or whatever. I don't know. We're like the worst people to be doing
this
right now. Frankly,
we are.
This is not a good idea, but whatever. It's happening. That's what I think it is.
I mean, this is like so
this is authenticity.
Yeah.
In its truest form.
It is. And I'm also just like, it's so amorphous. I'm like, what are they doing?
Oh, I was talking about this.
Oh, I know you were.
Okay.
I know you were. We are terrible at creating content, actually.
This is old school YouTube, where you just like put something up on a potato and like you just hope for the best. And I'm okay with that.
We're still trying to find ourselves, guys.
That was my era.
We're trying to find ourselves back.
That was my era of YouTube, and that's what I want. Okay.
I mean, I still literally can't even picture what it is.
The content creation room?
The whole event. What are you doing? Is it books there? Are you just talking?
Well,
like, what books are we talking about?
I'm sorry. Did you miss the part where I said fantasy and romance to mystery and dark romance? Because I like how they couldn't even come up with four.
It could be all these things.
I know, but normally you go from blue to yellow or red to green. Not fantasy to romance and mystery to romance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is it like books from the last year, books from all eternity, books from...
I'm so glad that you're like fully on board, because there is one more ticket price.
Okay.
At $250. This includes access to our vendor hall, cosplay meetups, panels, event swag bag, content creation room, which I know you're a huge fan of, and access to our lavender ball. Our lavender romance ball. Which we're going to pause really quickly on the lavender romance ball. Are you familiar with the term lavender marriage?
I know about lavender marriage. This is when gay men marry straight women.
Or like vice versa, maybe.
Oh, yeah, vice versa.
I mean, it happens, I'm sure.
Yeah, actually.
Somewhere.
Who is it? Oh, yeah, Diane von Furstenberg, the designer. You don't know who that is? That's a problem. You should know who she is.
Okay.
Her husband just came out as gay, and they've been married for like...
Is she gay
40
too?
years. I don't know. No.
Sometimes they're both gay.
I don't know, but I know he's gay. He came out. She didn't. So they've been married forever. So basically, they had a lavender marriage for a very long time.
Knew.
We're thinking she knew.
Okay.
And they're still married.
So here's my thing. lavender marriage or not, look, it's hard to get insurance these days. I'm not going to judge anybody.
True. This is true.
Have at
Somebody was saying, hey, maybe that's the way.
Honestly, I'm about 5 minutes from a lavender marriage
maybe
myself.
That's another episode.
It might be. But I do think that it's interesting to, like, romantasy is not filled with lavender marriages of convenience with your best friends.
No, that's too real.
It's
like you said, it can't be.
Right, like romantasy books are like meeting someone and falling in love with them.
And they're straight.
Well, or they're just, I mean, it could
or
be
they're gay, right.
They're of the thing that you are.
you want, yeah.
And so, like, to have a lavender romance ball, I feel like someone didn't understand what, like, the term lavender marriage or lavender romance means, because it's like, are we even...
I think they just like the color.
Right, yeah, but, like, in today's... I mean, we're talking
I know.
about...
You gotta be careful with that word.
So, would you go?
Hell no.
Okay,
Especially now, I wouldn't even give them $50. I thought this thing was free. I'm not paying to go to that, no.
Well, in order to get this event to work, and I know you're still trying to figure out, like, what this even is, really what it's supposed to be is, like, a Comic-Con, is what I'm gathering, right?
So they're dressing up as characters from the...
Some people, yeah, because there's cosplay meetups. There's panels. So, and you've been to Comic-Con, and so have I. Yeah. So you have panels of different rooms discussing different topics. You have, which I've seen some of the topics, it was like diversity and romance, discussing whatever,
The thing
blah, blah, blah.
about this is that it's such a wide genre. I feel like with Comic-Con, we're talking about comic book characters. There are a lot of them.
I was going to say, that's huge.
It is huge, but all eternity of books about romance, you could be anybody. I am not going to know who you are. You're going to walk in here and say, I'm Sheila Bridges from the 1962 novel She's Got a Beautiful Face.
So you bring
I just made that up.
A really good point. I know. Really? I thought that was a real
That
point.
didn't sound believable.
I was right. I was looking it up on my Kindle.
She's Got a Beautiful Face is
And
the title.
So I think you're striking on something that's really important here. And it's not, I'm really just talking about the event.
Okay.
But
I'm all going too far.
No, you're not. Because this comes up kind of later in my, like, takeaways here. So with BookTok and with writing right now in general, a lot of people are finding success in independent publishing.
So you publish your own book.
Right. And with platforms like Amazon and others, it's really easy to do that versus before.
For sure.
And for a lot of people, book publishing right now is kind of, I don't know if anyone actually in publishing would say this, but I'm going to say it, not knowing anything, in crisis or something is...
You feel like they're publishing like the same story over and over?
It's just something's rotten in Denmark.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the books are not being edited or something.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
They're coming out too fast.
Okay.
You know, it's something is rotten. And so I think for a lot of people... You know, and a lot of publishers, they want to see writers who have proven success, which in the past, you know, if you were a debut author, you might have luck. Like, you might find someone who would buy your book and then give you a shot. It was hard, but it would happen. I think now it's even harder because they almost want to see, like, have you sold book, you know? Like,
but how can you sell books if you haven't been published?
Well, I've seen authors being published after being independent.
Right.
And so they're like, and so
proving themselves first.
Right. And so a lot of people want to be writers. A lot of people are trying to break into the space. And so when you're talking about, like, who's going to be at this event, you got to think it's probably not the people who have representation, who have the means to be doing book tours and to be doing, like, really big PR marketing campaigns. It's going to be these independent authors who are trying to get their books in front of people so that they can make a name and have a following and maybe, you know, continue to mass their readership, right?
Even more reason not to go, but yeah. Sorry.
Well, this kind of goes perfectly into what I want to talk about, which is in order to get this event to work, you need authors to go and vendors.
Known authors. A few, at least.
And sponsors. You know, all the things that events usually have.
Yeah.
Like sponsors and vendors and then the people that are the draw, right? Yeah. Like, even at Comic-Con, they have people that...
They gotta have somebody.
So let's talk about that. Based on the interest forms available on the website, and why these are still up, I have no idea. But a lot of this stuff is up, and I archived
think
it.
This event didn't go well.
This was how the event was described to vendors, authors, and sponsors. Okay. This event is a festival that has some Comic-Con elements for book lovers of all kinds. The event will have 1,200 attendees.
What? 1,200?
1,200 attendees.
How do they know that? That's so specific.
Panels, a content creation room, cosplayer meetups, children's events, and a ball 21 up.
Okay.
So,
I'm listening.
In order to be a vendor or author at this event, you paid a non-refundable vendor fee of $150.
A vendor. Okay.
That a person with a table in your bookshop. That included one 8-foot table and tablecloth and a ticket to their event. Right?
Gotcha.
If you wanted to be a sponsor, you could be a free sponsor, so you would just donate items for their VIP swag bags.
Okay.
Or for $100, you got a logo on their website, an author takeover day in a Facebook group, an author focus day about your books on social media, and a small window or floor decal at the event.
Okay.
For $250, you got all of that, plus your logo on their tote bag.
Okay.
And then for $500, you got all of that, and a logo at an event banner at the event. Sorry. I don't know why that was so hard for me to figure out.
Gotcha.
So, like, we've already established you would not be interested in going to this as a person.
And I would not want to go as a person.
Would you want...
Or any other being.
Not as a cat.
No.
Not as a house.
No.
Not as a mouse.
No, I don't want
it. Would you be, like, you're an indie author, let's say. Would you be signing up for this event?
I mean, I guess the like go hard in me would be like, yeah, let me just go ahead and go to this, but I wouldn't be excited because it sounds a little sketchy.
This sounds to me like a fantasy.
It sounds fake.
It 100% sounds fake. And
I also would look at the website, and if the website looked whack, I would be like, nah, this is not. Wait a minute, please. Not the textured background. Our core values.
Oh wait, sorry. Yeah.
No. Hi there. Yeah, no. I'm not giving them my money. 1 million lives.
That's the book festival website.
This looks like a bad like Planned Parenthood website.
Not where I thought we were going. So I think what you're bringing up is good points. And I'm going to say this, and this is not meant as a judgment on anyone who went to this event, because I think a lot of people went to this event with good intentions who go to events like this that probably are well run but just don't have the budget.
Okay.
Like, I could see an event that's much small, like a small event having like maybe not the most polished website.
No, like they didn't even have to have a website. They just could have had an Instagram.
Right.
That was
and
like just decent.
Right. And so like I don't want to sit here and dog on these people like, wow, what were you thinking? However, I will just say, like, for me personally, there were red flags looking at it.
Yeah.
So the first was, like I mentioned, like the grammar is like
Yeah. Second.
Off.
Yeah.
Like, what are we
They did not proof that.
Yeah, and that's like weird to me.
You're a book event. You should have proper grammar.
Now, if we're talking about like, I don't know, like a tools event, like something with like people who don't care about writing and they're just like
even if like a sourdough festival.
Yeah, I would
if they had a misspelling, I'd be like, they're not focused on that.
100%. Yeah, this is not. But like, you're a writer in theory, or you work with writers. Surely you would have someone who would be able to help you with that.
For sure.
So the other thing that I noticed, now again, at this point, I'm coming out of this with 2020, right? Vision. I'm going to tell you what happened in a moment, but I'm telling you.
I'm very curious.
All the things that I'm noticing. So one of the things they promise is like these takeovers, these social media posts, all this stuff, right?
Okay.
Now you're promising that there's going to be 1,200 people at this event.
1,200 is so weird to me. Why are they saying 1,200? I hate that number. there's going to be 1,200 people at our event.
Maybe because it feels believable. What? Like if you said 1,500, they'd be like, that's too round.
But 1,200, where did we get that from?
Well, I don't know, because I've never run an event, and if you have experience with this, like leave a comment. But I would assume you'd go based on like ticket sales.
Right. How do you know how many people are going to be there? And why are you promising that?
Right.
That's weird.
So the Facebook group where you would be where you would have your stuff be shared on the social takeover days has 530 people in it.
That's not a lot.
So I also went and checked the attending authors and attending narrators.
Okay. Yeah.
There are 85 attending authors and 6 attending narrators, which means there's 91 of just that group of people. I don't know if that's the same as vendors or not.
Okay.
But if you think about, there's 530 people in this group. There's 91 people who are basically vendors.
Yeah, everybody else is like saying they're just going to the festival.
Like, you're really eating. So
that's
if you think
nowhere near 1,200.
Right. And again, 2020 vision and not a judgment. Just me doing some sleuthing now that we have more information. So the Archer Management Facebook has 134 followers. The event had 715 people attending on Facebook.
Okay.
So we're still, and you have to think attrition always, right?
Oh, for sure. They signed up for it, but they're not going to go.
They hit interested, but they're not going.
Yeah, they're not going.
They didn't buy a ticket.
Yeah.
And the Instagram has 1,800-ish followers.
Okay.
So like,
that's good.
That is good, but I still feel like it's not enough
to say you're going to have 1,200 attendees.
Because that would mean basically every single person who follows
you need to have like 3,000 to 5,000 Instagram followers to say that you're going to guaranteed have 1,200 attendees.
That, and I would want to see a really robust and well done like marketing campaign.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Advertisement or something.
Yeah, pop-up ads.
Just based on the
website.
No, on testimony that did not happen.
Okay.
So let me show you now a video from...
Oh my God, this is a nightmare.
So I believe the first night was the night of the Lavender Romance Ball.
The first night?
No,
they got to it.
It would have been Saturday.
Okay.
There's a woman who talks about it, but I want to just get your reaction first to our Lavender Romance Ball.
Oh,
so
they thought they were going to have fun.
Yeah, you can see they come in...
Oh my God. No.
It's so bad.
This is the Fyre Festival of the Book
Fyre.
people.
Fyre
Festival of the Book
bad,
bookies.
dude. And like I'm laughing, not...
Oh my God.
I'm not laughing at these people. It's that reaction of I don't even know what to say. Like that's crazy.
Oh my God.
Here's another of... This includes some footage of the actual event floor with the vendor hall, and then I think it goes into the Lavender Romance Ball.
Million lives. Okay.
So here's what I've noticed. I'm gonna pause it.
There's nobody there.
Right. So there's a lot of vendors.
Yeah, there's a buttload of tables with no people walking around.
Right. So I don't actually know when this was taken, right? In theory, it could have been taken that morning.
Yeah.
We don't know, but this is what is on TikTok.
Okay. $10 for wine.
Yeah, I don't blame you, girl. I do not blame you. It's so sad to me.
That's sad.
Because if she went to the Lavender Ball, then that means that they spent $250, right? In theory, because that was the ticket with the ball. And I don't know, unless you could just buy tickets to the ball.
I would have been pissed.
Yeah. Okay. This video is perfect because it just answers the question that I swear to God I didn't plan that.
Oh my God. There's also, you have to know that there's going to be no men here.
Oh, yeah.
Did you think, wait, pause
I mean,
it. Do you think that they go there to
care?
Okay, they were just going there to just have on their ball gowns.
Yeah, I'm not even going that deep.
Okay. I'm just thinking to myself, they're going to a ball at a book festival.
Yeah.
That does not say men will be here.
No. No. Not the men that would want
they
you.
want, exactly.
That would want you. I don't think, it's like with the Bridgerton events.
They know that there's not going to be a lot of straight men there.
If I go to a Bridgerton event,
you're not looking to
just
meet
even
a
though
man.
it says ball, I'm not going to meet a man.
Okay, because I'm thinking a ball means there's going to be men and women dancing.
Look, I'm going to say this without any actual sarcasm. If there was a ball held tomorrow and there were eligible men there, I would absolutely pick up one of those dance cards and go.
What?
I would be at that ball.
Whenever there's a ball, there's men. If I'm going to a ball, it's got ball in the title.
Hold on, pause.
It needs to be a man.
What balls have you
I've
gone
been to balls.
Balls.
Yes, I have been to balls. Yes, I have. You never been to a ball?
A ball? No.
A ball.
I'm sorry. I left my...
First of all, there's a lot of different types of balls.
The last time I was in 1800s Regency.
But yes,
England,
I have been to a ball. I have been to more than one ball. That's
with gowns?
Yeah.
Where were these balls?
A lot of the fraternities have balls.
So we're not talking here in Tampa as an adult. You're talking about college.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about as an adult. They have adult balls. Yes, they do.
In Tampa?
Yes. The Alphas have a ball. People have balls. You need to
apparently
know what's going on. Yeah, you need to know what's going on.
Well, do I have to pay $250 to go?
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Okay,
and I'm not paying $250. It'll be like $75.
I'm not wearing fake wings to stand in a room where they just trailed a bunch of roses
No,
on a
there's
table.
gonna be men with suits on and women with gowns on.
Here I've got this is another view of our lavender romance ball.
This is so depressing.
It makes me mad for them.
So, this is really wrong. But I also think that you got to be a little smarter than this.
So
book talkers.
I think, I'm going to show you one video real quick from a woman who's like taking, like, this is probably one of the better things to happen for this specific woman, Percy J, fantasy author, because she's gone viral.
Okay.
With her 4-part series on TikTok about this ball.
Okay.
I'm just going to show you one video. We don't need to get into all the details.
Oh, yes, everyone.
So let's see what she says really quick. And
this was real.
I did watch them all.
This was a real fantasy ball that I just attended not even 12 hours ago. Hi, I'm Percy.
They don't even have any decorations.
Okay. I'm pausing it already.
Sorry.
That's my thing.
There's not even decorations. I would have been hot.
Okay.
I would have said somebody got to give me my money back.
Let's see what she says real quick, because I've read a lot of context. I can't remember what she says. Let's get back into that. But remember the decorations.
It's 6 a.m. I have no voice. My body hurts, but I'm not getting sleep. So I might as well tell y'all exactly what happened. And this is going to be a video done in multiple parts because there's no way I could even fit this all into 10 minutes. But yes, I am still in bed. We'll talk about where I am in a second. And I'm in my pajamas because it's literally less embarrassing to be seen as a Dallas Cowboys fan than it was to be an author at this event. Before I get into the tea, I need to set some ground rules. Everything I am talking about is something that I have seen with my own eyeballs or heard with my own ears. Even if I did experience it and it's not my story to tell, I have permission from others to tell the story. And if I do put tea in here that I did not personally experience but only knew through other people, I will let you know that all of those facts are alleged, but are important to the context of the overall story. So before we talk about the viral disaster that was that ball, I have to channel my inner AP US history teacher and go to the events leading up to section. Because this story starts 18 months ago. Because that's when we all put our deposits down. So I put down my $150 table fee back in February of 2024. I am not from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm from Texas. Which, yes, besties,
18 months.
Whoa.
I'm pausing. So you had 18 months.
That's messed up.
18 months to find 1,200. I think I could find 1,200 people.
18 months is a long time. Also,
to advertise an event?
You advertise this for 18 months. People put their money up for 18 months. Like, they were really looking for this to be something good.
Yeah.
This is creating a lot of anticipation.
For them.
Yes,
right?
yes, for them.
And also, to me, in my mind, I'm like, we haven't watched the rest of it yet, but I'm thinking...
Wow.
So you collected 91 people's at least $150 plus whatever else.
Yeah.
For, which I don't know how much that is, but it's
$91 of a
91 times what? Damn it. Why don't I do these things before?
It's what, almost $2,000? $90 of how many?
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
I almost said $10,000, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was scared to be wrong. It's like $1,300.
Yeah.
So
13,000.
sorry, yes, 13,000
Yeah.
bucks. And so it's like you had up front 18 months ago, you got $13,000.
You could definitely have decorated a
You could
room
have
with that.
decoration. You probably
Or-
could have put like 3,000 to decorations.
Yeah.
And then put 10,000 to advertising.
Yes.
And then as ticket sales came in, buy more stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be my
Yeah.
plan. And I think for a first time event, now I'm getting, this is like me going full business brain. But like, I think for the first event, you almost have to be willing to take
A loss.
even, maybe not a loss, but like an even
Even,
split.
yes,
If you
yes.
come out even or maybe a little ahead, you're fine.
Yeah.
But we're putting a lot of money because we want it to be better next year.
Right. Also, where are they at?
Baltimore.
But where? What venue?
I believe it's the Baltimore Convention Center, right? Is what they said.
So they got
Yeah.
like this huge big space. Why did you get such a big ugly space? Like
Which for 12,000? I mean, I guess if you legitimately think that you're going to have 12,000 people.
no.
So, and that's a good question because do you think that maybe they got the money and then just like booked the convention center and thought the rest will just work itself
I mean,
out?
I'm trying to figure out why, because a convention center booking fee is going to be expensive. So I'm
Right.
like, why did you have such a heavy overhead of your space? Why not have a smaller event in like a cheaper space
Unless
for the first one? Unless they got that donated.
and
I
this
feel like
is
that
a
space may have been
conspiracy.
free.
And now this is me riffing. Unless this was a scam the whole time. And I don't know. I don't know. These are not legitimate thoughts. These are just,
I'm thinking they might have got that convention space for free.
you think? How?
Or possibly cheap because, yeah, Baltimore Convention Center, yeah, probably there's some kind of, are they a nonprofit? Like,
I don't
to
know.
me,
They're not.
To me, I don't see this group paying a full fee to the convention center for some reason.
Well, I was gonna say maybe it's a scam and they pocketed the rest.
That's what
and
I'm
said,
thinking, they
"Screw
pocket it."
But even still, like you said, the convention center would be expensive. So,
But my thing is, I'm feeling like they might have got a deal or something,
About
and
to
they just
look up.
pocketed the money. To me, this feels like a scam.
fees are very, very based. Not me. Like we're going full. Very based on factors like space, day of the week, and event type. But this is like a
What
high.
day of the week was this?
It was a Friday and a Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if there's many people booking the Baltimore Convention Center, to be honest.
who knows? Who knows? But just
Okay.
yeah. So 18 months.
besties.
So to
I flew
wrap
out
us
for
back
this,
before we got off,
but I
on
got
this,
in
like,
because a
conspiracy
lot of my
tangent.
friends were going
18 months
too.
ago,
And I
they
knew
put in
a lot of people
$150
attending
for their
because
fee.
the creator reached out to a
Wow.
lot of people who were already
Oh,
pretty
man.
prominent in the indieverse sphere. And honestly, I was like the table.
Not with that ugly website.
Hmm?
Not with that ugly
50, why not?
website. No.
I paid more to be at events, and because
So
so
she's
many
saying,
people
like,
were
it's a
going
lot of people in
that
the
I
indie
wanted
space.
to see and hang
Okay.
out
Right,
with.
a lot of indie
I planned a
authors.
lot of major life events around A Million Lives. I'm currently pregnant with twins. I planned my pregnancy around this event like a clown. Major life events around A Million Lives. I'm currently pregnant with twins.
Wow.
I planned my pregnancy around this event like a clown.
Yeah, you are a clown. That was not smart. Why would you do that? To an event you've never been to before? Are you crazy?
I scheduled
If you think it's gonna be a
my
legitimately
uncle-in-law's
big event,
funeral
What made you think
around
where you're
this
gonna make
event.
money,
What made
I
you think
even
that?
What's she
paid
gonna tell us?
extra
Okay.
to sponsor this event. And let's get into that, shall we? Because you know I brought the receipts, girl. Peep the date. After Christmas of 2024, I reached out to Archer Fantasy Events to sponsor A Million Lives. I ended up picking the highest tier of sponsorship because I'm just like, $250? Why not? It's a good deal. So I was supposed to get my logo on the website, an author takeover day in the Facebook group, an author focus day with several posts about me and my books on social media, a medium window or floor decal, where those were supposed to go, I don't know, and my logo on the tote bag. Me and my books on social media, a medium window or floor decal, where those were supposed to go, I don't know, and my logo on the tote bag.
and that's interesting because actually she's saying that, and me fact checking immediately on Okay, she paid the $250.
before.
All right, I was
I've
gonna say because there was
seen
one that
events
was
do
like
all of
large,
these
and I was
things
for
like,
other
girl, you
people.
got
So I
screwed,
sent
but,
them
either
all
way,
of
she spent
my
$400
things,
at this
my
point.
headshots, my covers, my logo, all that stuff. And on January 20th, they received my $250. So if anyone wants to come out and say that I never actually paid for anything, and if you're confused, Book Lover was a free sponsorship tier.
Okay.
By free, that just means if you bring swag, like stickers, bookmarks, art, whatever, people have done wax melts in the past, candles, those get put in the swag bags for the VIP attendees. But we'll get to the swag bags in a minute. Put a pin in that. Hold on to that for a minute. I'm trying to explain this in chronological order. But after that email exchange, it's pretty much crickets. I did not, in fact, get my author takeover day in the Facebook group. There was not a single
This
post
is
about me or my
awful.
books on Archer Management socials. And we also never got confirmation for how many items we needed to bring for the VIP swag bags. And I know what you're thinking,
Wow.
Percy, why didn't you say something earlier whenever you knew that this wasn't going to be done? Because at the end of January, I got pregnant with my twins.
They didn't
and I
have
stopped
people.
being active on social media for a while just because of the fatigue
Yeah.
and the sickness. And frankly, I came into this event thinking, you know what, it's $250. Whatever. It's not worth my peace. But little did I know that peace was never an option. About 2 weeks before this event thinking, you know what, it's $250. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not worth my peace.
I see that.
But little did I know that peace was never an option.
But also, like, she just said, too, that it's not just that because she had to travel to go there.
It is
So
more of an
from
expense
Texas
to Baltimore.
she had to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Then she had you have to get a hotel.
Before
right?
Yeah.
I
So, like,
actually
she
went on
spent
the
money.
event's
I'm just
website
saying,
to
like,
see what I
it's
was
not
actually,
totally
getting
free.
into.
I mean, I get that.
And
If
I
you're
started
pregnant,
counting
you've got other things
the
going on.
number
But
of
it's not, like,
authors,
totally
vendors,
free.
and narrators that were actually coming to the event. It was. It was slated at somewhere around 120. Those kind of numbers are
91.
huge.
We did that math.
Yeah.
But I had not seen any
Maybe some people have been
advertising
taking
on
off.
behalf
Yeah.
of the management company for this event. And I
Okay.
looked up a lot of
Alright.
these authors, and a lot of them were brand new on the scene, fresh new indie authors. And the math was not mathing in my brain because you cannot have 100+ authors, vendors, narrators and not advertise. And then I saw only posts on Archer Fantasy events, authors, vendors, narrators, and not advertise.
Yeah. To say, hey, this author is coming and this author is coming and this author is coming. Like, you would need to, like, get her headshots and start promoting that you'll see so-and-so here.
Well, I think what she just said about it being people that are new on the scene is kind of a red flag too. Because if you're, like, you said this earlier, you want to go see someone big.
Yeah.
Right? So I think being a new person, it's worth the investment for you, the risk on your investment, because there's somebody there to draw those fans.
Right.
Or
and
there's
then they
a
may
thing.
discover you.
Yeah, and then while they're there, they see you too. So, but if it's 120 people that are like lesser known or new,
Then what's
then
the
who the
draw?
hell's gonna go see
Social.
them, right?
Exactly.
Like that's
offering
and
the
then if you're
tickets
putting
at
everything on the Lavender
40%
Romance Ball,
off.
like
No
you know,
man.
I don't know. Okay,
That's a
I
red flag.
actually-
Groupon tickets.
yeah, and I actually looked too, and I saw some heading into May that were 50% off.
Wow.
That's when I knew
Which
that
is
like
So you
not a
sound
good
like
sign.
you were about to go
That's
to
what I
this
knew.
thing.
No, I just
I
did a lot of
luckily
research when
did
I heard
not
about
ship
it. I was like, what
any
is this
books
thing?
to Baltimore. I just took what I could fit in my suitcase. But we'll get to that later. So I was going to stay with my friend and fellow author Callista Neath. We were going to be staying at the Hilton that is connected to the Baltimore Convention Center. Does it look like I am in the Hilton to you? Neath was a featured authors got their rooms paid for free by Archer Fantasy Events. Allegedly. And on the Wednesday, before we all flew out, the featured authors got an email saying, hey, my rep at the Hilton has not been answering my phone calls or emails over the past week. Past week? Why wasn't this situated over a month ago? And said that she couldn't confirm bookings. And so she was in...
No, ma'am.
Why wasn't this situated over a month ago? And said that she couldn't confirm bookings.
Where are we calling
Instead,
cap on that?
moving all the featured authors.
Do
to
you
the
think there was
Days
ever a
Inn
room at
of
this?
No.
Rochester.
No, this is a
Don't look at
scam.
this.
Okay.
There are freaking scratch marks on this bed, bro. And we are authors with these heavy suitcases
No,
and
ma'am.
boxes. This place did not have a wheelchair ramp. My
Oh
pregnant
my
ass
God.
had to be carrying these 50 plus pound suitcases upstairs. And so my expectations are getting lower and lower and lower. The bar was on the floor, but it went to hell real fast. More coming in part 2, because I told y'all this would be long. The bar was on the floor, but it went to hell real fast. More coming in part 2, because I told y'all this would be long.
I might just have to show you.
You
a bit of part
know,
2.
this is like really good for her.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm almost getting to the point where I feel like people are going to things knowing that it's going to be crazy so they can do this.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm starting to feel like that running up on an event gone awry like this is a come up for some of these people. Because then you can do one of these TikTok things and then you get notoriety from that. So like you see like, this event looks a little sketchy, but I'm gonna go because then I can still get content.
Because either way.
Yeah, I can get content.
But okay, do you think that a person signs up with that plan, or do you think after it gets sketchier, they're like, that's gonna be my plan?
I think right now we're at a point where it's the second one, where they're like, this is getting kind of sketchy. Instead of saying, you know what, give me my money back. Yeah. I'm not doing this. They're like, no, I'm going to go and see what happens. And then I'm going to create content about it. That's what I feel.
I mean, it's a real gamble, though.
Yeah, but either way, look at her. Now she's got this. You know?
True.
So they're like, it doesn't matter. If it's whack, I'm still going to get content from it.
So basically, you get an idea of what happened here.
Yeah.
There's no decor. There's no sign. Like, the basic
Not even
thing,
a sign.
Not nary a
These
sign.
ladies took all the money.
So
for
I
themselves.
watched more on the fantasy ball, and apparently, as it's been understood by me through various TikToks, I don't know, obviously I wasn't there, I can't say if this is true or not, but apparently it was just what you saw, that room of like a bunch of cafeteria tables with like rose petals on it. They didn't have music. They didn't get like either, and I can't remember exactly what somebody said on TikTok, whether it was like stolen or whether it was like the DJ was sick and like the DJ was bringing the equipment, and so then they didn't have equipment. And apparently one of the security guards felt bad and brought out his like JBL speaker.
No.
And they just played music from the speaker.
Yeah, no. There's no reason to stay at this. Who are the people who stay at this?
Well, that one girl left. Remember that one?
Yeah, but I mean, who else would stay at this? This is awful.
At that point, you're like, I'm going to create some content.
Yeah.
So allegedly, I don't know I'm with you. If I had done all of this, I think at this point I would have been like, who is in charge?
Yeah, I need to talk to them.
And they're going to give me my money back.
Yeah, for sure.
And they might pay me for we're going to talk about
something's
this.
got to be
this
said.
Is fraud.
Yeah, this is fraud. I'm about to report y'all.
Yeah, exactly. And so allegedly, again, just based on my perusing TikTok, one of the authors who's friends with that author, Percy J, that we just watched, decided she'd had enough and confronted.
Okay.
And said
the organizer.
that they're going to need to give everybody a refund.
Yes.
And then the organizer dropped this apology, which we will now watch.
Standards. There were a lot of issues with getting set up, and it was not set up well. I want to apologize. If you would like a refund, please contact me. I will issue a refund immediately. Thank you.
Like, what does that even mean?
Wow.
I mean, I got the part where you said there's going to be a refund, but like...
Yeah, she's on TikTok. I've seen her before.
Well, she's also an author.
Okay.
Herself.
Okay.
This is her. I am Grace. I am the organizer of Archer Management. She's a writer and she helps authors launch their books and stuff, which I hope to God that nobody is paying for this, because I can't imagine what they're getting based on all the allegedly based on what we're seeing here. So that basically concludes this story of...
So what happened? Did anybody get their money back?
So we've got some statements. I don't know like who has gotten their money back so far. You know, we got another apology. We are currently processing refunds as fast as we can. All refunds will be processed by May 31st. Do we believe that?
No. I think she know exactly what she was doing.
You think
She
so?
gotta come up. Yeah, I do.
But you have to get the convention. Like, it did actually happen at the convention center.
Yeah, but she knew that it wasn't gonna be right, and she still took their money.
So, like, how much did she make, you think?
She probably made at least $10,000.
You think so, for
Yeah,
real?
yeah. I think she knows what's up. She's acting all like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I don't believe it.
Well, no, she didn't even act that way.
Yeah, she
It
wasn't
sounded-
even believable.
I'm
She
sorry,
wasn't even really that sorry.
No, it looked like she was reading like a hostage
Exactly.
video.
No,
We
no.
take full responsibility for the way that A Million Lives was handled. We are doing refunds for every attendee, author, and vendor. We are also canceling all of our future events and will be processing refunds for those as well.
Yeah, good
because
luck
they
getting your
did
money
have
back.
they did have another. It was like oh man. It was like a night event or something that they were doing in Baltimore. I can't remember exactly what, so I don't want to try to say it. Yeah, and so then it posted about all the vendors.
What kind of name is A Million Lives? This does not make any sense
I
to
don't
me.
know, dude. And you know what? I think of there's like organizations called A Million Lives. And it's usually like organ donation or things like that.
I don't,
like
this sounds so. First of all, it doesn't even sound fun, and it doesn't sound like a book event, and they don't have like nothing about the graphics even say I
But,
want to
like-
go to this. It's all bland and like pastel. This is
I mean-
none of it's cohesive.
look at this video, right? Of
The Fyre Fest of BookTok.
it is.
That's what I said.
This is what people are calling it. But yeah, so like look at this room. I mean, there's no
There's no
not
signage.
to say right, like not to say that during Comic-Con they decorate it that much, but there's signs.
Yeah, this looks sterile.
Right, like this is just a bunch of people in a room with some tables, and it makes me feel really bad for anyone. I
did
feel
that on purpose.
I
Like,
feel
what
bad
the fuck
for
is that?
this.
What kind of graphic is that?
Oh, this is one from one of the authors.
Oh,
This is
okay.
from one of the people because they
Okay.
remember they had takeovers where people would be
Okay.
posting.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like, you know, I don't know. And then of course that's not even where they ended up. But I can't. You know,
Honey, no.
I've worked in publishing somewhat before, and I know what it's like to work with authors who are these independent authors
Yeah.
who are trying to get their book out there. And I was always it always made me feel really bad to see them being,
Exploited.
I mean, not talking about this, talking about something else that I won't talk about. It's not exploiting if you get what you're paying for.
Of course. No.
Like if you're paying
yeah.
someone for social media and they're doing your social media,
Yeah, that's
then
not
like you're getting what you
exploiting.
pay
Yeah.
for. But I guess in my mind, sometimes I'm like, I don't think this is gonna have the result that I think people have like inflated expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I partly blame the people attending, the authors. Like, you should be able to read the room. You should be able to look at the details of things and know that this is not going to pan out the way they're saying.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I don't know. Like, if I were an author today trying to sell my book, frankly, I don't. And I'm not an author, and I don't do that. And there might be someone watching this who does, and y'all can tell me. I don't know that, like, going to events would be where I put my money, though.
Nah.
And it's funny because I do go to Comic-Con, and I do see book vendors.
But do you buy books there?
I don't.
You don't even know anything about the people.
No,
Like,
I don't.
that's, to me, like, why would I go to an event, I meet you for 2 minutes, and now I'm going to buy your book? I don't know anything about you or the book.
It must work because in another video, that same woman, Percy J, she says that she does make her money back from events.
Oh, okay.
And so it must work. It must just be like the type of event, and probably Comic-Con's not
yeah.
a bookish type of
Yeah,
event.
true.
But still, like, I just don't know that I would take, like, this would be a risk that I would be willing to take
No.
for, like, ROI.
I think there's bigger ROI with doing smaller events, more personable things. Like, I mean, you don't have to travel anywhere. Like, local stuff.
Local yeah.
stuff. And then also social media.
Social media, totally.
That's where
And
you're going to get your sales from people that don't
online.
live around you. Yeah, and
yeah,
online.
paid media if you
Yeah.
want to go that route.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, if you're carrying a bookcase full of books, I'd rather just carry it to my local Barnes and Noble,
Right,
than
than to Baltimore,
or like a library
from
or
Dallas.
something. Yeah, exactly. So
Poor
that
thing.
was it. You were right when you said this was the Fyre Festival of Books.
Yeah.
It is being called that on social media. I don't know how much fallout we'll see left of this event, but it's not the first time this has happened. There were Bridgerton events that have gone really poorly.
I feel like this is a thing. This is like a reoccurring thing here.
There have been like fairy events that have gone really poorly. It's just going to keep happening.
I think it is too. And people are like so, I don't want to say they're gullible, but I just feel like there's a lot of people out there trying to do something, and they are, they're excited for opportunity. And sometimes that blinds them to like, is this actually a quality opportunity?
Yeah. And I think some of the events, it's likely that the person putting them on had the best of intentions. Yeah. And maybe we were just in over their, and who knows, maybe that's what happened here. And they were just in over their head, and because it got too big, and and everything kind of went to shit. Yeah. Or I think there's other times where an event goes off that's really well done, and then people, like the Shrek events I think of, people really love those. Okay. And people post them online. And then didn't know they existed. And then you see like pop-ups of them. Kind of like you with balls. I'd rather know about the balls though. Jesus, I'm here with a Shrek event. Some guy in a Shrek costume.
I like Shrek.
I like Shrek too. He's my favorite fairy tale. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's probably people like, pop-up events can be really big. Yeah. There will be one company that does them very well. Yeah. And then there will be other companies that try to do them.
All pop-up events are not created equal.
No, and they're not all good. And so I think there's like this feeling of people, they don't want to miss out. They want to have that TikTok, Instagram moment. They want to go to this event, take the photos and stuff, and then you might end up at a Million Lives where it's just you in a cafeteria room with a bunch of people with wings on and ball gowns.
That name is just all wrong. But sorry.
Yeah. No.
That would have been the first red
That
flag.
would have been me. I'm like, I'm not going to something
I like
called
stuff
Million
that's named
Lives.
good. I'm big on that.
The Lavender Romance Ball really would have bothered me.
Me too. Like, all of this sounds ugly.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
anyway,
for me to get.
So now you know about what's going on BookTok this
I
week.
came in here not knowing anything about this. I did not know this even existed, and I'm leaving knowing about it. So thank you.
And how do you feel about that?
It really doesn't matter. But I do know something.
All right. Well, I should have said this earlier, but if you like what you've heard, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you have heard about this event or you know things I don't know, it's very possible. I'm not on TikTok really. Leave a comment, or if you were there and have more to say,
love to hear it.
Well, give us the tea. We want to know what happens. And if you think this was a scam, was it a scam?
It was a scam,
or was it just a poorly executed event with the best intentions?
It was a scam.
My jury's still out.
All right, I'm saying scam.
Okay. All right, then the lawyers will come for you.
Oh well.
All right, that's it for this week. We'll see you later.